much for sitting with us. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your work?
Okay, my name is Sheree Renée Thomas, and I'm a writer and an editor. Probably better well known for two anthologies I edited. Dark Matter. The full title for the first one was Dark Matter: A Century of Speculative Fiction from the African Diaspora. It was published by Warner Books in the year 2000. And I had some amazing writers in that collection. The second volume was Dark Matter: Reading the Bones, also published by Warner Aspect, and that was published in 2004. And my editors on both those books were Betsy Mitchell, and her assistant at the time was Jamie Levine, and Jamie did the second one. So I was really very fortunate to be in good hands. And the work included, it was 100 Years of Black Science Fiction for the first one, and it included work by Charles Chestnut and W.E.B. Du Bois, and it included wonderful writers, Samuel Delany and Octavia Butler, Tyrone Reed, Stephen Barnes, D.C. Shaw, Walter Mosley, just like amazing.
No, I'm really.
Kalama Yasalam, P.E.D.
No, I read your book in class, so it's very
yeah.
difficult not to gush right now.
I'm sorry, and I'm trying not to either. It's like this whole experience has just kind of put me back in my feelings about that experience, 16 years ago. So it's like all these amazing people.
Now, is this your first time at this conference symposium?
It is.
Okay, great. Now, what kind of anticipations? What were you thinking on your way here? What were you expecting?
Well, about the conference.
Right, yes.
I knew it was going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how amazing it was going to be, and I didn't know how many different kinds of thoughts I was going to have here, because the presentations were so different, and there's so many different people coming from different backgrounds. And all of this, like thinking about all of this in the context of Afrofuturism and redefining that, because I'm constantly wrestling with it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot to connect to, a lot to take away, some themes,
Now, this gets really difficult because there's been so many great presentations, so many great panels, but...
Don't ask me which is my favorite.
I will not. But I will ask you for some inspiration. There has to have been some things here that have clearly inspired you.
Okay, so being a Memphian, like the very first one I was able to really see the whole thing was the presentation on the grotesque in Southern hip hop, and then the other scholars who were talking about their different, like the visual, Tiffany Barber, the art historian, and just looking at music and women's impact in music, and also just my place in that. I was telling Dr. Robinson that it was interesting hearing a scholarly discussion of work that I experienced in real time as a young person. Which we were out there doing the gangster walk to some of this music, right. And to the point where it was outlawed in clubs. You couldn't do it because it regressed. But so to hear it being talked about in this cultural timeline, but also in a political timeline, was really amazing. And also to hear, the conversation about women's agency, Black women's agency, and taking control of that narrative and doing different things with it. So that was I really enjoyed that.
Now with these inspirations, how do you take it home with you?
I'm a writer, so I take it take it to heart in my mind, and I take it. I'm a visual thinker, so it's like I still have all these images, and I take a lot of notes.
Right, so I assume we're going to see you at the next year's conference.
Oh my gosh, I'm like a true believer now. I mean, I already, you hear good stuff about it already, and this is the other thing, like, there's a lot more happening. I would say a great deal more happening than was happening when I was thinking about doing Dark Matter, before it was even like a book. It was, just an idea. We were still having conversations about whether or not Black people read science fiction, and whether or not there were more than two people who were writing in the field. You know what I mean? And then depending on who you asked, they would come up with different names. But it would never be more than 5 people at that. So to have like a sense that there are these movements and people are doing things on both coasts and in the South, and that there are salons that are happening in Philadelphia and New Orleans, and that people are doing stuff, and they're talking about, they're not just reading the fiction, they're writing their own work, they're doing comic books, they're doing short films, they're doing fashion, there's art. I mean, it's just it's a new world. It's a new world. It feels like a new world developing.
Is
You know,
there-
that's been there all along, but you know, there's community.
Yeah, that's, I think
Yeah.
that's you hit on the key word that's been echoed through most of these interviews, is there's a sense of community that's being built here.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic. What, for next year, what are things that you hope maybe to see, you know, or what do you see, you know, there's so much.
You're asking
right?
tough questions because I'm still like in the present. I'm still
Absolutely.
I'm still here, and on the 3-hour drive back to Memphis, I'm gonna still be here. First of all, I met some amazing new people, some people from home. So I'm just like, yes, you know. I can't even imagine where they're gonna go next year. Like I have no idea what they're gonna be doing next year.
And I'd love to give you the chance to, well, people need to know more about your work. What are ways that they can find your work, you know?
Oh my gosh, okay, so, so I have 2 books, 2 books of my own. The first was called Shotgun Lullabies, you know, it's short stories and poetry, and it's some original work, it's mostly some reprint as well. And I have a new book coming out this year from Aqueduct Press. Both of them are from Aqueduct Press, which is amazing, feminist science fiction press out of Seattle. And that new book is called Sleeping Under the Tree of Life. So
That's a fantastic title.
yeah, thank you. And it's just I don't know if I would call it Afrofuturism, especially after hearing Reynaldo Anderson's discussion of that, and also Andrew Rollins' discussion of what that means. But it's definitely Black speculative fiction. It's different, you know, different stuff going on with that. So I'm excited about that, and I'm also very honored to be editing a new volume of a journal called Obsidian, which is celebrating their 40th anniversary. And we're doing a double volume on speculating futures. So it's fiction, poetry, drama, visual art. Crystal Franklin is doing the visual art. Isaiah Lavender is doing the academic essays. Nisi Shaw is helping me with the fiction. And it's going to be fantastic. So, you know,
Right.
and Daryl Harris is the leader and and the visionary for that. So it's going to be a great project.
Great, well, it's been really great speaking to you, and thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time to
you.
talk to us.
Appreciate it.